Welcome, 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 welcome to another edition of Wrestling Therapy. Of course, I'm your host, Suji. I am back with Moose. Moose, what's up?
Just enjoying the Continental Classic in AEW.
That's always a good step in the right direction. The year is almost over.
It's been a crazy year,
Oh,
especially for wrestling fans.
a lot of things have happened and will happen by the end of this year. Hell, where do you want to start? Just- I mean, you know what we
I,
have to talk about, so where do you want to start?
I think we should talk about the elephant in the room, that being Cena retiring in the next couple days, um, because that's going to be the hardest hit for a lot of wrestling fans, me included. I already am going to be a sobbing mess. I already told the wife we're not going anywhere. I'm turning my phone off. I have never paid for a John Cena shirt. For myself, I'm probably going to be getting one just to kind of nail in the coffin, put that up in the wall. Um, for someone who, for all the flaws he has carried wrestling for so many of us and made fans of so many people and been that standard bearer. It's hard to watch him walk away.
It's as we go on, it's going to be more frequent. We will be having these same conversations. Like, damn, like next year, AJ Styles is going to be gone. Um, Potentially Brock Lesnar is probably going to retire next year. And it's like these guys that we grew up watching are just now stepping away. We're like, damn, like they have been around for a long time. What are your thoughts going into this final match being against Gunther, which I heard, which I'm not 100% sure that this is not going to be the main event. So, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I think it's horseshit if it's not the main event. You don't. I get wanting to book, like, you have Cody and Oba on there. You have some NXT highlights. This is marketed as, and should be, ending with John Cena putting his kicks in the ring and walking away at the end of the night. It feels hollow if that's not what we end the show with.
Now, my only counter to the only reason why I could see them doing this is if, say, for example, he loses to Gunther, which we'll make our predictions in a bit, and let's say somebody unexpected comes out, i.e., let's say a Jericho, and at the end of the night, you get a bonus Cena versus Jericho, just as an example. Would that make that moment better, or how would you feel?
I think it would take away from it even more, honestly. They've been building for however many weeks now that they've been doing this tournament, where people have gotten injured in these matches to be his final opponent. You had Sheamus and Penta both get injured in these matches, wanting to be the one that has that final match. So if you have people getting injured and spending weeks of time putting effort and their body on the line, just to have it be, oh well, actually there's going to be another match, or oh, we're going to do another segment with Jericho. If you want to have someone like Jericho come out at the end after the match and give him a congrats, a nod, whatever it may be, that's one thing. I don't even think you should do that, and that's someone who grew up as a huge Jerichoholic. This should be end the night. Hope I'm going to put this out there. I hope he comes out with the kicks that you can pump up like back in the day. But have him. I think he's going to lose. I would not be surprised if he loses. But have him lose, put his shoes in the ring, say his piece, whatever, and walk off. Because if you have Jericho come out or any surprise appearance, you're taking away from Cena again. And especially after this year of, like, such a roller coaster of how he's been booked and what rivalries he's been in, if you fuck up his retirement show, you're alienating so many fans. And that's one thing that, talking to wrestling fans and looking at forums and talking to Even casual people who watch the show is what the fuck is going on with Cena? This is supposed to be his last year, and he's dealing with Travis Scott in the beginning of the year, and then Logan Paul, and he's a bad guy, and now he's flipped. Like, at least give him the good send off it with this roller coaster year.
I remember when Ric Flair retired on that Raw, and you had the roster of guys and girls out there acknowledging, no pun intended, acknowledging Ric Flair. And then you had The Undertaker, who came out, full Undertaker gear, whatever, and did the whole bow to Flair. I thought that was nice.
Yeah.
I think I look at it a little differently. I I wouldn't mind if you had the roster or people from Cena's past that he could not get to face due to obligations that they may have had come out and give him thanks or props or whatever. Like Batista, it being in DC, I think we'd after Batista showed up. Um, Jericho, if he's not contractually obligated, just I feel like that makes the moment special when you have your peers acknowledging your 20 plus years of wrestling versus him having a match and just be like, all right, guys, appreciate that. I'm gonna roll out and y'all have a good night.
Yeah, I think just the difference is with Ric Flair, there wasn't surprise returns for that. And that would be totally different. If you have the locker room come out after and acknowledge him on the ramp, come out to the ring, do whatever, that's one thing. But if you try and have big surprise appearances, that's going to take away. If they have Batista come in at the beginning of the show and, acknowledge him, say his piece, and do whatever, that's one thing. Same thing, have Jericho show up earlier on, but having that we need the pop culture moment of Jericho's back at the end of the match or right after then, that takes away from both.
That's fair. That's fair. And this is why I like asking Cena fans. And I'm not saying I'm an anti Cena fan. I'm not, but there's people that are clearly bigger Cena fans than me, and I just like hearing their opinions and feel
Yeah.
on this. Because to me personally, I don't like if this match is not the main event. There's nothing else on the card that should be the main event. It's
Mm-mm.
This is for Cena. This is not a Cody Rhodes event or AJ Styles retirement. This is John Cena's retirement. The card looks good, but I I
Yeah.
don't see
No,
a
it
reason.
follow.
I don't see a reason why it should start because to me that's like go. Let's say you go to the movies, you watch like the Avengers, and they show the post credits first,
Yeah.
then the movie. You're just kind of like, uh okay, well that kind of ruins that for me a little bit
Yeah, no, that it wouldn't make sense to have it anywhere else on the card. And
because
especially with I was gonna say with how the crowd has been lately, um, they need to be careful on how they book certain things because even if you look at the metrics or you talk to people, a lot of people, and myself included, have been watching and spending less time with WWE. Um, whether it's the booking, whether it's the cost of things, whether it's just how many platforms it's on, whatever it may be, they I say they can't afford, but they can't afford to keep alienating, especially on someone so pivotal like John Cena.
when you see that's the hard part about this situation. You're not going to please everybody because
No.
what would be good for Group A, Group B will have something totally different that they will prefer to have happen, and Group B will have something totally different from Group C, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a tough market to sit there and say we got to please everybody.
Right.
because
No, and,
that's not going to happen.
well, they're already going down that route because if you went with what most people would traditionally wanted, I would have been super happy if John Cena's last match was him and Styles with all the throwbacks with that awesome moment. That would have been super dope for me. I would have been happy with that. Gunther, I don't think was really anybody's first choice. Um, I think he was way better than having Jey Uso be the final match. But overall, I'm like they've already put themselves into a spot where not a lot of people, the majority are okay with it. They're not like, I don't think anybody is writing home excited for Gunther for Cena. You know it's going to be a good match. You know it's going to be the classic good guy bad guy with Gunther. He's going to work that really well. But if you gave us all something to write down, I don't think Gunther's in the top three for what we wanted at the beginning of the year. Now a lot of people wanted like Edge. Obviously, I didn't see that happening. That was like a dream that would have been awesome. But there's other people that you could have put in there before Gunther that would have made people happier. Now, if you're already going with option B or C, don't put the nail in the coffin more. That's my thought on it. At least make the majority happy. Don't shit on us after we're already upset.
I don't. I think I'm more than likely in the minority about this. I don't see the issue with Gunther versus Cena. People make it seem like Gunther's the worst option to have. Like how many bad matches has Gunther actually had? I
None.
I don't really. I can't think of any. Even his match with LA Knight was really good. That was probably one of Knight's best matches. I just don't understand
Yeah,
why
I agree.
people hate the idea. Oh, it's Gunther. Like Gunther is a villain. Gunther. It makes sense for Gunther to retire Cena. Nobody wants Cena to retire. Gunther, this big bad ring general, is killing people's dreams, and that's the perfect guy to do that. I don't think it should have been a face. Now I understand.
No, and
Go ahead.
I agree with you. I don't think he's the worst. I just don't think this is the best choice that we've had from the start. I think they picked someone that they felt would be a safe choice, not necessarily the best choice.
Who would you have picked that was on the roster then if you wouldn't have gone with Gunther? What would have been your choice?
I would have gone since day one. I would have gone with Oba. Give someone new and upcoming that hasn't had a main roster spot, not a big name person. Have him come out, show his version of ruthless aggression, and win or lose, you have him go toe to toe with John Cena on his first main roster appearance. That seems better for me, especially if he did put him down, than a one off against Cody, which, I mean, I doubt that Opa's going to win against Cody this weekend. But if you have Oba versus Cena, it fits the motives better. It fits the story better of John Cena's career, what he's wanted, how he wanted to go out putting the younger people over. And while Gunther's good, I think Oba would have been better because what has John Cena been known for most of his career? He's the one that slays the giant bad guy. Whether it's Umaga, Kali, Batista, Bray Wyatt, whoever it may be, RIP. So you have Oba, who's this massive monster, the ruler come in, and you have that Super Cena feel right out the gate while still saying, here's the new blood on the up and up.
I don't disagree with that, but the only problem with Oba is if you're not planning to put him up on the main roster right now, him beating Cena and still being on NXT doesn't do much for him on the main roster.
See, I agree with that. But that could have also been what marks him for the main roster. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Instead of I don't see why he's still in NXT. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad he's NXT champ. but this would have been a perfect way to bring him up.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I do agree. Let's go ahead and talk about the
Yeah.
cards while we're on the subject. We have the should be main event Gunther versus John Cena. How do you think this match ends?
I think it ends. I don't see it ending with John Cena tapping out. I see it either being the choke out. He fell unconscious during a sleeper hold, or he loses off after like a big power bomb or something. I don't see Cena winning. It's not his style, nor has it ever been his style, um, to go out with a win. It's the same reason I didn't ever expect him to go into this with an Intercontinental Championship. I've always believed, right, wrong, or indifferent, he's going to go out on the Shield with a pinfall loss.
I would agree with you 50%. I agree Gunther wins. I think Cena tapping out is the perfect symbolism to end his career. For a guy that's never
I can see
tapped
it.
out, really, I mean, I really don't recall many times he may have tapped, maybe against Kurt Angle back earlier in his career or something, but the symbolism and especially the heat Gunther would get for being the last one to tap out John Cena on his final match would be epic.
It'd
So
be nuclear.
yeah, yeah, because now you've pretty much solidified Gunther as your one of your biggest heels. And honestly, if he wins the Rumble, he could go on and face Cody. He doesn't have to face
I can see that.
Punk or whoever the current champion would be at that time. But that's that's not a here nor there. That's a different podcast topic. But
Yeah,
so we agree on Gunther, but we disagree on the matter of victory. Okay.
right.
Next, we got Bailey versus the NXT upstart Sol Ruka. I'm 50-50 on this. What about you?
I in the same boat. I'm 50-50 because they like to make Bailey lose big matches. But at the same time, you have so many story caveats with Sol Ruka right now, especially with Zarya being like, "Hey, why didn't you even tell me you were going to be on Saturday night's main event?" So I think the biggest factor in this is if Zarya's there or not. Um, if she's not there, I could see Sol Ruka winning. It really is a toss up, but I'm gonna go easier on. I'm gonna say Bailey.
This being deemed a exhibition leaves the door open for many possibilities.
Yeah.
Right now, today, I am going to go with Sol Ruka winning because I feel like she may be called up next year.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Sol, but I'm not sold on it.
No, that's fair. I honestly, again, I think the biggest caveats are they going to use Bailey's veteran? I don't know why I put that in air quotes. She's a veteran. The
Yeah,
veteran experience to put over Sol Ruka, or is it going to be Zarya involved? If it's clean match, I think it's going to be Bailey, especially with them working on Sol Ruka's knee in kayfabe. Bailey, especially with her like split personality issue she's going right now, totally see her feeling or flipping that like heel switch during the match and really going after that knee, and that being what sets her up for the win. If Zarya's in there again, I think Zarya would cost Soul, so I'm going to vote Bailey as my safe choice.
I also feel like kind of bouncing off of what you just mentioned about the Bailey split personality. I could see a scenario where maybe Zarya comes out and spears like Lyra, and like it distracts Bailey, and Bailey kind of like goes it's like a mini crash out, but maybe Soul doesn't see it, and Bailey gets hit with that Soul Snatcher.
Yeah, I
Maybe,
can see that too.
yeah, that's it's a good possibility. All right, so we differ there. I like this. Like this. I believe this match is for the tag titles from what I've heard. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee or AJ Lee versus the NXT slash TNA superstars of Leon Slater and Javon Evans.
So this one, I think, first of all, it's going to be a banger. Regardless, these four involved, it's going to be a banger. Secondly, it's really, I feel like they could have gone with Dragon Style over AJ Lee. That's better. I feel like that's a Punk joke that they just couldn't help themselves to. Um,
It's right there.
I don't see yeah, I don't see Javon and Leon winning. I think it's be really cool, only because Javon and Leon Slater both have talked about how much they've watched AJ Styles growing up. Um, Dragon Lee puts on banger matches, has one of the better suicide dives that I've seen. I love that Young Bucks mimic of the stomp into the Styles Clash that they did.
Yeah,
Um, if it's for the titles, yeah, no. Regardless, I think it's going to be Dragon Style that's going to win.
I agree. Um, it being an exhibition, but for the titles, if it wasn't for the titles, I could have seen a case where they won just because it's an
Right,
exhibition. So, I mean, it doesn't count for shit in the short term.
right.
All right. So we agree finally. And the last matches we have the WWE Undisputed Champion, Cody, Cody Rhodes, QB1 versus Darula, two-time NXT champion, Oba Femi.
I think we're going to probably agree on this, but we may differ on why. I think Cody's going to win. You're not going to have the main champ lose to the third brand or the developmental champ, but I think he wins because Drew gets involved.
So you're going with Cody.
Yeah, Cody wins.
I am going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go Oba Femi.
See,
Cody is a guy that doesn't care to take a loss. For me, a loss for Oba hurts more than a loss for Cody. A loss for Cody doesn't mean anything. He lost to Oba Femi. Like, once Oba Femi comes on the main roster, he could say, hey, I pinned the WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes. I do think Drew gets involved and is what ultimately is going to be Cody's undoing. So,
my my retort to that is you also have to think about it from Drew's perspective with Drew getting involved because Drew's hell bent on getting this title. It's the title. He's deserved it. He's been cheated out of it time and time again. He's not going to have that championship be one that's the champion lost to NXT.
but see, in story for Cody losing would just make Cody more pissed off at Drew, which would make
Right.
Cody make mistakes. Because we've seen when Cody has his little temper tantrums, he has a tendency to make mistakes. So I feel like with Oba beating Cody, it fuels the Drew Cody feud even more, which they'll probably end up facing at the Rumble,
Oh,
and
100%.
pushes Oba up once he gets to the main roster.
That's solid.
So we agree on one match. I like that. Now you said you wanted to talk about the AEW and its Continental Classic.
Yeah, so the C2 is one of my top three things to watch every year for wrestling from any promotion. Um, I am an absolute huge fan of any tournament style wrestling, King of the Ring, Super Juniors, Tag League, G1, whatever it may be. Love tournaments, but specifically the Continental Classic because of how they have it set up, where it's not, oh, if you lose, you're out. It's you lose at 0 points, you tie or time limit draw, 1 point, you win, it's three, and you have the 5 matches. It opens it up to have the anyone can win any given match. So the prime example is the one from last night, which was Speedball Mike Bailey and Kyle Fletcher. Now, I mean, I've talked about it on here before, and I'll shout it from the rooftops. Kyle Fletcher is going to be the standard bearer for AEW. He's fantastic. Hashtag Fletchlights. But having Speedball come out and beat him, granted, it was a roll up. It wasn't like a big, huge definitive win. Having him get the roll up in his first 3 points against Fletcher is the prime example of anything can happen because no one thought that was going to go down. Same thing with, I think it was about a week ago, you had Masquerada Dorada. Again, everyone thought he was going to be the pinfall guy. He was going to eat all the pins. He beat Claudio. It was the first time Claudio's lost recently, and it was after Claudio won the CMLL heavyweight championship, and he lost to Masquerada Dorada. So it's the true feeling of who's actually going to win while still having a kind of predictable look at who's going to be in the end the overall winners.
If you had to pick a winner right now, who is it?
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to end up being Takeshita and Okada from their respective leagues because they're building that up, and that's the perfect way to have that alpha versus alpha story. Without too much extra work, honestly, because Takeshita's been in New Japan quite a bit as their heavyweight champ. So I see it coming down to a tie at the end between Okada and Fletcher in the Gold League. Okada wins. They go to Okada, Takeshita at the end, and put up a banger of a match, and I think Takeshita takes it.
When is the finals supposed to be? Is it at World's End?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. What is going on with the women's inaugural tag team championship? I heard we have new champions or inaugural champions.
Yeah, I should have worn my Willow shirt, but I wore it yesterday. Um, I'm honestly really surprised. I thought Tony and Mina were going to take it. They were going to put the name on them. Um, but at the same time, I'm super happy that it's the Babes of Wrath because I've been a fan of both of theirs since they started at AEW. I think Willow's put in so much hard work and been in so many big matches. She's had one kind of short TBS title reign. Harley's only been wrestling for a couple years. Like she started wrestling in AEW. Those were her first matches. And they talk about it on the show that her second match ever was against Willow on an AEW Dark match, which just used to be their YouTube like pre-show. So to see them come all the way up, beat Marina and Megan Bain, beat the Sisters of Sin, beat everybody in the tournament and Tony and Mina and claim it, I think is fantastic. I think they've super earned it, and I couldn't be happier with that.
Yeah, I heard that they won. I was a little surprised. I was like, okay, I like surprises though. I like to be surprised. You know, as I think I told you the other day, I did watch AEW. I watched Claudio and Moxley match. My only complaint was I didn't understand why Moxley was bleeding in this match. But other than that, other than that, from what I saw, I enjoyed. Claudio is always one of the people I like to watch wrestle because he's so good, so underrated.
He's so smooth.
Yeah.
And it's crazy with Claudio because yeah, he did lose, but at the same time, you have Moxley in that same league who's now lost 3 times, and it went from we're this dominant, crazy heel killer faction to very quickly Moxley just saying, "No, we're just hungry and we're gonna keep fighting no matter what." And you see the people behind him, Yuta, Pac, Daniel Garcia, Marina, giving him side eye. I definitely think this is going to help push toward a change of leadership with Box and the Death Riders because they're saying, "Hey, you just keep fucking losing, my guy." Like even Brian Danielson on commentary talked about it that when they were in originally what it was the British Combat, no, the Blackpool Combat Club is he couldn't beat Mox, and now you have Claudio who just beat him clean after he's already on a losing streak.
You think at World's End?
I don't think they're going to do World's End the turn. I think they're going to drag it out a little bit longer, and maybe go toward Revolution.
Okay. Anything else on Dynamite that was of interest?
I mean, you had Swerve and Hangman kill the ops. They came out with chains and staple guns, took out all the little, TV show cameos. Had Hangman drinking at the bar, and then Hangman said, "Hey, Joe, I'm coming for you." Granted, he was saying it was going to be him or Eddie. That was the match that ended the show. I was not really a fan of it. I might get hate for this. I really don't care for Eddie Kingston. I think he's good on the mic. He's decent in the ring. I just don't see the appeal.
Agreed.
And you had Joe fucking make him not even pass out, but tap out. So it was a good show. I definitely think that it sets up a lot. Um, I'm kind of confused because it didn't seem like they were going to have Hangman go right back into the title picture, especially with Swerve coming back. So I think they're going to drag it out more with the ops, and maybe we even get a triple threat between Swerve, Hangman, and Joe. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a banger, so I'm not upset.
When is World End? Is it at the end of the month?
Let me look because I know we have World's End AEW. December 27th.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the weekend of Christmas.
Ah, okay, interesting. Interesting. So, anything else about AEW you want to talk about before we get into our AEW WWE awards, year-end awards?
My only thing for anybody who hasn't watched it, sit down, watch an episode of AEW. It's a buffet. You're going to get something you like, and it's just a lot of fun. If they come out to you, tickets are reasonable.
Way cheaper than WWE,
Oh yeah,
which I mean, a lot of
even
things
day of.
are. So, as we were talking earlier, we were, as you watch AEW more, I watch WWE a bit more. We came up with some categories and awards for the respective shows. I believe we have male and female superstar, match. What else? What else we got?
Uh, breakout star,
Breakout star. Yep.
and then feel good moment and fuck this moment of the year is what I usually go with.
I think I know a lot of people's fuck this moment is probably going to be Brock Lesnar destroying Cena, but you never know. Never know. I could be wrong. All right. Where do you want to
It's not
start?
uh, so let's start with the classic. Let's just go male superstar of the year, and I can give mine for both since I watched both plenty.
All right.
Um, for AEW, I'm gonna go Kyle Fletcher. I think he's been incredible. I think he's had really good fucking matches throughout the year, really positioning himself as the future standard bearer, while not being overshadowed by the giant group of the Don Callis family. I think if you can sit there next to Okada, arguably one of the greatest IWGP champions of all time, and Takeshita, their new champ, and still not be outshined and still look like the main guy, I think that says a lot about how you present yourself. Um, and I can't think of any bad match or negative thing to say about him from at any point this year. I think he's their guy this year, and especially going forward, he's my AEW guy.
I think most of the AEW fans I've talked to have said a lot of positive things about him. Yeah, he's a future world champion. I agree with. For what I've seen of Fletcher, he's been good. I agree with that. For me, for WWE, my male superstar of the year, it was a hard choice. There's 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 a few options you could throw out there. You got Braun Breaker. You know, Breaker is a good possibility of a superstar of the year. CM Punk. Then you got your Cody Rhodes. But ultimately, after much deliberation, and it took some time, some effort, but I think I finally came to a decision. My male superstar of the year is none other, and this may shock you. He is currently holding not one, but two championships. He is currently the reigning AAA Mega Champion. He is currently your two-time Intercontinental Champion, the man that beat John Cena all by himself in San Diego. Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Agree or disagree?
As much as I do love Dirty Dom, I'm going to disagree.
Oh,
Um,
all right. Who do you got?
so my WWE Men's Star of the Year is might actually be controversial as well, but mine's going to be Seth Rollins. I think he's carried so many stories on Raw this year. The build up between him and Punk and Roman going into Mania was one of their better builds. The swerve with Paul Heyman betraying Punk and Reigns and starting the Vision, him punking everybody with the bum knee to come back and cash in. I think on and off the ring or in and out of the ring, he's been their guy. Um, Even with the shoulder injury, I think he is by far the best this year because of how many stories and how many people he's built up around him. That he's my guy for this year.
Okay, that's a very fair one. And I think for my AEW superstar, I'm going to go the easy route. I'm going to say Hangman. I am going to go with Hangman Adam Page. All right.
Very fair. Yeah. For female star of the year, who do you got for WWE?
Now, this is also a tough one. You could go with the longest reigning, the only two-time United States champion, the only woman that's holding two belts right now, Chelsea Green. There's an argument for Rhea, but I'm okay on that. I'm gonna have to go with Stephanie Velcro or Stephanie Velcro, excuse me. What,
Very solid.
what about you?
Even though I'm not her biggest fan, I was actually going to put Io as mine. I think she held the world title well. Um, Even with the clusterfuck that was the story going into Mania as her world champion, I think was great. She's great in War Games. She's held a lot of the stories together overall on Raw, whether it's been her, Bianca and Rhea, her and the Kabuki Warriors, her going into War Games, her great matches that she's had with literally everyone. You can't tell me that she's had a bad match this year. Um, and even when she's had issues speaking on promos, she's improved a ton, and she's getting over doing the crazy fucking emote on everybody. I don't think you're going to get much better than her. Stephanie's very close for me because I've been a big fan of hers, who was originally in AEW for a match. But I think she needs to get her promos up a little bit better and have some better stories before I'd put her as the star of the year.
That's fair. I think I also look at her body of work. I mean, she held the North American, the NXT championship. At the same time, she won the Queen of the Ring. She won the Evolution Battle Royal. she's done a lot more than people like Rhea has done this year, or even
Yeah,
oh,
for
hell, even
sure.
Charlotte. But yeah, I mean, Io's a great choice.
Thank God.
What about my AEW one is Mercedes.
Yeah, my Mercedes is my AEW, Women of the Year. Um, as much shit as she gets online, which honestly, at this point, it's hard to hate on her and to say that she's not accomplishing anything without just being a dick, essentially, um, or some kind of hatred in your heart, because she's busting ass on AEW. She's not putting herself as a world champion in AEW. She's fucking killing it in so many different promotions and promos, outside the ring, inside the ring. Her entrances are always great. Her storylines are always great. Now that she's starting to lose, she just lost the women's Ring of Honor TV championship to Red Velvet. Congrats, Red Velvet. That downward spiral's begun, and she's such a good actor with her face and how she tells everything through her body language that I think she's very much earned that spot of Ultima Monet, all the titles, all the belts, and being that's not even just a star herself, but a star maker with her matches with Tony Storm, elevating both of them again with Chris Statlander, elevating Chris Statlander, and elevating all those different titles she's holding.
I don't disagree with that. I I mean, it's really hard. I mean, the only other person you could probably make an argument for is Tony Storm. I think Tony Storm would be a very close second to that, but Mercedes has had a solid year from beginning to now, and she's still having a solid year.
Oh yeah,
You want to do match of the year?
yeah. So I got again. I got I got them for both.
All right.
So for WWE Match of the Year, and this I don't think is going to shock anyone. It's going to be the triple threat Bianca, Rhea, and Io. Start to finish, incredible fucking match. And watching it live with my wife, I actually jumped out of bed when Io came in with that moonsault and fucking clutched the win at the end because that was totally unexpected. It was such a cool moment. And I'm also like, please, no one fucking die from that because that looked kind of ugly on the first hit. Um, but there's a lot of good WWE matches this year, but that one took the cake for me.
Okay. What's your AEW one?
For AEW, I'm gonna be a little bit biased because I am a Hangman fan and I'm a Death Riders fan, and I'm gonna say I believe it was All In. I always get All In and All Out confused, but it was Hangman versus Moxley for the world title. It almost reminded me of WrestleMania 40 when it felt like the Avengers had to come in and help Cody Rhodes win, but even bigger than that because it wasn't just John Cena's here, Solo's out, Rock's in, Rock's out, Undertaker returned. It was they needed half the fucking roster on both sides and a bed of nails and all sorts of shit, barbed wire, all kind of fuckery, um, storytelling, blood, weapons, just good match quality overall. That's my go-to. A very, very close second with bias toward Hangman and Hangman Osprey. Because I was live at that show, I was there, and how crazy those near falls were. But definitely Mox Hangman for the world title. I think that's the defining AEW match this year.
I think for me, for my AEW match of the year, I want to go with Tony Storm versus Mercedes Moné for the title. I really enjoyed that match. And for WWE, it's probably going to be another women's match. The one that really comes to mind is Rhea versus Io at Evolution. I really enjoyed that match. The, Shout out, there was an NXT match. I believe that was this year. It was Javon versus Oba versus Trick versus Ethan. I believe Ethan
Very,
was in
very
it,
good match.
where Ethan won the won the title. I might have been mistaken.
No, that wasn't Oba. That was um that was Trick, Ethan, Javon and Sean Spears.
Spears. Okay, okay. Yes, that match. I enjoy that match. Shout out to NXT.
NXT always has good matches.
Yeah, yeah. What other category we got going on here? Said
What is your fuck this moment of the year?
when Dark State interrupted the Javon versus Leon Slater match over in TNA. I can't remember which pay-per-view it was, but that match was so good. I was like, oh man, like this is I fucking love this match. Then Dark State comes out and fucks it up. I was pissed. I was kind of done after that, honestly. What about you?
That's a very good. This mine's gonna be pretty typical. It's gonna be what the fuck with Travis Scott at WrestleMania and the longest celebrity entrance in history during a match. Um, for it to go fucking nowhere. I think that was moment where a lot of people tuned out. You have WrestleMania ruined by someone who's fly by night. Even in that, you had him taking fucking liberties and doing all sorts of bullshit. It very much just sucked all the air out of the room.
Yeah, yeah. And I think Logan Paul was saying that Travis Scott was thought it was a trampoline, and it was like a bunch of cushions in the ring,
Yeah,
and which I find that so hilarious because when I was wrestling, I remember there was these two guys that came to the show we had on. It was Saturday, and it was like, oh yeah, we can do this. We want to wrestle. So the guy was like, all right, well, we'll see how you do the first day of training. Come through on Tuesday, and if you like it, we can do something. They was there maybe about 2 hours. One of them went outside and puked. The other one said he had to go to his car to get something. Neither one of them ever came back. It's not a trampoline. I promise
no,
you, it's not a trampoline.
no, no, and that's one of those like I feel like we've all wanted to be a wrestler at some point or the other, and like I'm out in Arizona. There's a lot of wrestling schools out in Arizona, and I've been to a few of them and talked to some of the people there. It's something I would love to do, but I know I can't commit either A, the time, or B, my body to go through that without going through something where it's like, don't put yourself in that spot just because you want spotlight. Like, at least with, like, Jelly Roll, he has a love for it. Travis Scott doesn't want to do it. It's just a pop for him.
Yeah, and it sucked because storylines ultimately suffered because of this decision that he decided to make.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. Excuse me, erase him from the annals of our memory as best as we possibly can and trudge forward. What is your feel good moment of the year?
So for mine, this may be a shock, but mine is going to be when Chris Statlander won the world title.
That's good.
Um, Again, another one of those. I've been a fan of her since AEW started. I thought the alien gimmick was cool. I thought it was fun. She could be a powerhouse, but do the flips and shit in the ring. Um, it's been awesome to see her improve on the mic, and to see her finally become the first ever person to win both the TBS and the AEW Women's World Champion and take that from Tony. I think that for certain for AEW, that's my feel good moment of the year even though there's been quite a few, that's my go-to. For WWE, my feel-good moment of the year, that's honestly kind of hard. Only because there's been several. Um, I'm gonna be kind of out there, and it's gonna be very specifically Punk coming out to the WrestleMania main event with Heyman.
Okay. Nostalgia. That makes sense.
That that for me, as someone who's top five, especially growing up, was Punk was up there, especially during that pipe bomb era. Seeing him come out not only to the promo with "This Fire Burns," but then go into the Cult of Personality with Heyman in the main event, I was emotional the whole time.
Wrestling is such a emotional thing to watch, isn't it? Like man, like we get so invested into these
It
things.
it's very much one of those. It's one of the very few ways of storytelling where you can come full circle so much later
Yes,
and still have that same emotion.
yes, I agree. I agree. I think for me, I don't really have one for AEW. For me, for WWE, it's either when Naomi cashed in and won the world title, or when AJ Lee returned. Would be for me because
Both of those are really good. Yeah.
I've been a big AJ Lee fan. Seeing her come back, I was like, oh man, like she looks the same. Like it's great. Like I think one of my favorite AJ Lee moments was when she was with Dolph Ziggler and Big E, and Big E was doing his little stretch that he used to do, and he punched her in the chest, and she just sat there, just like, okay. And then to hear that she was fucking with him in the back afterwards was hilarious. Saying, "Oh, I think my sternum's busted." Like she was just milking it, and poor Big E is just like, "Oh my god, I'm about to get fired." And ultimately,
And it's so
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's also just really cool to see AJ Lee back. Not only because we're fans of hers, but for me, I think it's so cool to see her back because it shows how far both WWE has come as far as how they treat their women, but also how much she's improved as a person with her mental health to be able to come back healthy.
That's important. Mental health is important, by the way. That want everybody to understand. Mental health is so important in your everyday life. Don't care what you are, who you are. If you ever need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody because it's hard when you're in the shadows or you're trying to fight a battle that you can't see by yourself.
100%. If you need help, as someone who's been through it themselves and hit rock bottom and had to come back, find someone, get the help. It doesn't make you any less of anything.
Absolutely, absolutely. I fully believe. Excuse me. I fully believe in that. And I think what our last category is super breakout star.
Yeah, so when I think of breakout star of the year, I think of a couple of things. Not necessarily just that they're, maybe a rookie or new to the main event or whatever it may be. For me, breakout star is someone that could have been in the shadows not doing much for several years and then come out and fucking killed the game. So, prime example for that for WWE, my breakout star of the year is Chelsea Green. I think she was having great matches going into the end of last year, but I think as far as the female roster, you don't have someone much better than her when it comes to storytelling, knowing who they are as a character, putting it out there. She's still having great matches, and the fact that again she's the two-time, the longest reigning, the you could say the strongest, the first, the fourth, whatever you want to say, women's U.S. championship or champion, and the AAA Intergender Tag Championship. I can never get the name right, and I do apologize for that. Um, where she's still telling the story and absolutely fucking killing it. So she's by far my WWE breakout star of the year.
Uh,
For a for AEW, it's gonna be Chris Statlander. I think again at the beginning of the year you wouldn't really think too highly of her as far as where she's going to land on the card. But someone who's really, again, stepped up their game and absolutely crushed it and is now their champ.
okay. I think for AEW, I'm gonna go with Speedball. Speedball, Mike Bailey. I'm gonna go with that. I feel like from what I've seen of him, his future could be pretty bright. I'm not saying by next year or he's gonna be world champion or anything, but I feel like there's a ceiling.
Right.
There's a high ceiling. And for WWE, it's really difficult for me because it comes down to one of three people: either Javon, Ethan Page, or the only the only person to hold the Intercontinental title twice and the AAA Mega Campeon during Dominic Mysterio. I know he's a 20-year vet. I understand, but he's had a really good year. He won the Intercontinental title at Mania, got a big pop, got the run it back with the entrance on there. Ethan Page also holding two titles, banger matches in NXT for the North American Championship, and Javon has just been that guy that's been trusted to face people like Sami Zayn, Gunther, um, AJ Styles, and Dragon Lee in a couple days.
See, but I think I can push back on Dom being a breakout star for you a little bit. Not because he doesn't deserve it, but only because he never really was in the background. Since he's been with the roster, he's been in the main event. He's been on the top. He's been in the spotlight this whole time. He's gotten better, but it's not like he broke out. It's just he's been there. His quality's improved, but he's still there.
I will push back on that because when Dom first started, nobody liked Dom. Neither did I. Everybody thought Dom was fucking annoying. It was just, oh, he's just a big Nepo baby. He's with his dad. And then he's out there with the fucking hood on, trying to wrestle with a hood that keeps covering his face. He has to keep doing this the whole time. And then he got with the Judgment Day, which was, okay, solid, but then he won a North American title. But I felt like he was still like right in the middle, not quite there. Yeah, I feel like this year, finally winning the Intercontinental title, winning a world title in AAA, beating John Cena, like that's a career achievement for a lot of people.
No, you're totally right. But I think if you were going to use him for breakout star, it would have been last year when he was really hitting his groove, doing a lot of the shows, really putting himself in the main event. Whereas he was going in this year pretty much already established, going into Mania, going into these big shows. As much as I love Javon, other than I hate the fucking springboard cutters, I think out of year three, I would put Ethan Page on there. Again, I'm biased because he was in AEW, but he came from essentially the dark shows, the house shows of AEW, goes to NXT, and he's NXT champion. He's in main events. He's the North American champion, the Intergender AAA champion. I think he's done a lot more and grown a lot more this year than Dom has. Whereas Dom's gone from an 8 to a 10 and stayed at 10. I think Ethan went from a 2 or 3 as far as how he was presented to a 9 or 10.
I can't disagree with that. I feel like any of those people you can make a very
A
strong,
solid
yeah,
case.
solid case for. Well, is there anything else you have on your mind that you want to talk about? I know we got a couple days before Never Seen 17 is retiring the shoes or the pumps. Anything else you would like to say about Cena before we go?
It's as sad as it is to see him step away, and a lot of the other guys that are coming up on retirement the next couple years, whether it's Brock, Styles, Joe, Nakamura has had talks about it. Orton with his shoulders, like Rey Mysterio, whoever it may be. It's at least nice to say, hey, I can see my childhood wrestling heroes retire and not grind their body into dust like a lot of the previous generations did, or where they have to wrestle up until they're ready to croak. So, as sad as it is, it's also going to be really like, hey, we're probably the first generation that the vast majority of the people we grew up with, not all of them, but the vast majority, can retire on their own terms.
I 1000% agree with that. It's really nice to see, especially them being able, well, kind of reiterating what you just said, to retire on their own terms instead of I got to be wrestling into my 60s because I don't have the money, or them passing away before they can even get their send off. So yeah, I agree with that. Well, I believe that is all we have for today. Moose, thank you again for joining another great conversation. I always enjoy these conversations. They're fun.
Yeah, these are always a highlight for me.
Yes, me too. And want to thank everybody for that watches and supports. I'm just over 400 on TikTok, which I'm happy about. And I'm trying to climb my way on YouTube. So please follow at Wrestling Therapy on YouTube. here on the Tic Tac, hit the little buttons and all that fangle gangle stuff that he got going on. Enjoy John Cena's final match. If you want to cry, cry. It's okay. If you want to laugh, that's okay too. But enjoy the moment. Enjoy it while we can because life is very short and unpredictable. I am Masuji. Thank you again. And remember, everything is all right in the world now because the greatest Mysterio of all time, Dirty Dom, has his baby back. Stay safe and stay blessed.